You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Check. Are you guys there now? Wow, that's embarrassing. Well, here we are. I think the sound should be back now. You guys let me know in the... I don't know what happened. I guess that sucks because that's going to crush my initial algorithm. But anyways, on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, we're going to be talking about a couple different things. Obviously, we have the Backyard Brawl, guys, that was been snubbed. We talked about that. A lot of fans are upset about that. And what we're going to do, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do another intro, and then in post, I'm going to go and I'm going to trim this episode after it's over with because I can still do that once YouTube's over. That way, the viewers from here on out after the show aren't just hearing nothing for the first minute and a half, because if that's the case, then nobody will watch it. So I'm just going to pretend like we're just starting again, if you guys will work with me on this. And then I'm going to play the intro again, and we're going to do it all over. So apologies for this, guys. Give me just a second. The Backyard Brawl is always a game that West Virginia fans look forward to, and unfortunately, they're not happy because it feels like this game has been snubbed again on the schedule, and I've got a basketball player for you guys to watch out for that you're going to love. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host again. This is Locked On West Virginia. Thank you guys for letting me do that over again. I don't know why the sound went off. That was weird, but I'm glad it's back. I guess I need to have this thing positioned so I can see that green light more often, because that red light kind of had me. I didn't see it. So yes, see some of you in the chat that are like, "What? Why are fans upset?" I don't know. I've got several on X that I've seen say that they're not happy with this, and it's tied to the expectation that this game was going to be a coal rush game, is what I can gather. So anyway, let's get into it really quick. The Backyard Brawl is only but one part of what has come out about this. We know that. So let's break down the schedule, and then we'll talk about the Backyard Brawl here in just a second. Also on this episode, we'll be talking about a new basketball player to watch. A lot of the coaches are following this player, and I was able to reach out and speak with this player. So I have confirmed some things, but we'll talk about that in the next segment. I don't want to blow who it is just yet. All right, so before we go any further, let's recognize the channel sponsor. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, right now, $200 in bonus bets is available to you as long as you win that first $5 bet, but you can only do it at FanDuel. Make sure you head over there today to get started, and I appreciate it. All right, so let's roll through here as we talk about this Backyard Brawl, obviously the headliner, but the West Virginia's 2025 games have been revealed, times, the stations they're going to be on, etc. So they're stirring up all kinds of emotions, I think, for fans, because, obviously we've got an afternoon kickoff date. We've got a late kickoff. We got a really late road test. We've got an early season cream puff, a little bit of everything on this schedule. starting with Robert Morris in the opener, which we know about. We've known about that for a long time, but it's going to be at 2:00, which is an odd time on ESPN Plus. 2 p.m. Eastern time is just an odd time. Can't say that I've ever seen that before. Kind of taken aback when I saw it because it's usually 1:00, right? So maybe things are changing. I don't know, but obviously August 30th, Milan Puskar Stadium, 2:00 with Robert Morris on the ESPN Plus. I'll take that. As long as I can watch the game, I don't really care. Even ESPN Plus, maybe we'll get lucky and get Caridi's son on there because he does a good job. Game number 2, we've got obviously Ohio University, and I spoke with an Ohio University podcast, and they've got a new coach. They got a bunch of new players. This is not the double-digit winning Bobcats that we've seen the last few seasons, and we're going to do a crossover with them at some point, I think. But that's a 4:00 game on ESPNU. That's pretty dang good. That's actually really good. That's a semi-nationally televised game. It's a step above ESPN Plus for sure. But it's in Athens. And what a weird game. If you've never been to that stadium, I've told you guys, I think it's about 20, 25,000 people. Not a lot of seats there. Probably won't be a lot of seats for West Virginia fans. Although it's closer than any game. I would expect a lot of West Virginia fans to be there because it's like closer than any other game on our schedule that I can think of outside of, on the road, right? Like what other road game can you drive to anymore? So this is kind of a little bit of a treat when you think of it in that respect. Late afternoon kickoff, which means, the Backyard Brawl will be looming the next week. Could be a trap game if the Bobcats are good. We'll definitely keep our eye on that. We'll skip the Backyard Brawl for now because we have a couple thoughts on it. Also have a couple thoughts on this next game after the Backyard Brawl. BYU on a Friday night lights game, 10:30 at night Eastern time, and this is one of those games where if it's going to be very hard to win for West Virginia. Not only you in Provo, not only is it night in what could be easily one of the, if not the loudest, one of the loudest stadiums in this, also the biggest stadium in the league. It's going to be a challenging game and what should be an undefeated BYU team, unless I haven't seen their schedule, unless they play a really tough, they'd have to play a top 15 team to have a chance at losing before this. Because I consider them to be a top 25 team, at least. I think most people do with what they have returning. Now, their quarterback situation, we don't know about. And I'm assuming that he's going to be gone because even if he didn't do the crime, he still had premarital sex, which at BYU is still a crime to them on the rules side of things. So that's a whole other conversation. But so no telling if the quarterback's going to be there or not. But it's basically Saturday morning when you start this game. Definitely when the game's over. So the time zone difference, high altitude, it's going to be a road test, man. I don't know how we win. And then the rest of West Virginia's games. You got the Big 12 opener at Kansas. They don't have times yet, but the Big 12 says they'll announce those on a 12 or 6-day window. So we'll just have to wait and see if West Virginia gets any primetime love for later in the season, because these early slots do set the tone for the year. And I'm curious what you guys feel. How do you guys feel about this schedule so far? Are you guys okay with it? Because there's one game I've heard a lot about, and that is September 9th, 2025. September 13th, sorry. September 13th, 2025, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, the Backyard Brawl. Now, here's what I will say. The fact that it's going to be on ESPN or ABC lets us know that we're still possibly in the running for a college game day, right? Because if let's say this was on Fox, then we're out of the running for that. Not always. There are times when college game day will be somewhere and it comes on Fox, but it's rare. So I think, the fact this is on ESPN at 3:30, which is not a prime time slot, but it's the next level down from one. At least according to, I looked it up, 3:30 is not considered a prime time slot. So think, whatever you think, like 7 o'clock is really the prime time slot. So is 8 and 9. So, 3:30 is like leading into that prime time. So, you know, fans wanted a more, I think, a prime time slot for this rivalry. And the fact that it's going away for a few years got people pissed off, obviously. And I think if college game day somehow gets there, all is going to be forgiven. But a lot of fans wanted to see those Coal Rush uniforms at night for this game. That's the gist of why I've seen the fans that I've seen complain about this angry about it. But I think for me, I- here's what I'll say about it. Here, I've got 5 bullet points here that I have that I wrote down about this. No primetime slot. Fans are upset because the 3:30 p.m. time isn't considered prime time, which typically means 7 p.m. or later. Primetime slots on ESPN draw larger national audiences and give the game a bigger spotlight. The Backyard Brawl is one of the college football's best rivalries, in our opinion. Deserves that kind of attention, especially with ESPN broadcasting it. And a daytime slot feels a little bit meh. But with how bad we've been lately, and Pitt was great at the end of last year. I'm with you guys. I feel like we should be grateful for it. But no night game atmosphere at Milan Puskar Stadium. We know how elite that is. Not having it gives us, maybe we're at a disadvantage in this game. They've got a great quarterback. If he plays like he's capable, we're going to be breaking players in. So we need all the edge we can get in this game, because I won't be able to live with not having this game for a couple years after this and losing it. Hell no. No Coal Rush uniforms was the other thing that I saw. Black jerseys inspired by West Virginia's coal mining heritage are a fan favorite, obviously, and look incredible under the lights of the stadium. So we would love to have seen that. And so not happening, at least at this point in time. Now, look, one thing about ESPN is they have what's called flex scheduling. If we're both undefeated and somehow ranked, which is unlikely, at least for us, maybe they could be, they can flex this thing up to 7:00. That's another thing people may not know about. So last game of the series for a long time, and then the history behind 13-9 and Rodriguez's return. I think a lot of fans feel like that whole full circle moment deserves a little bit more love than it's getting, but it's personal to us and not everybody in the country. And certainly there were a lot of people that wasn't even alive when that happened. So take that for what you will. Let's go to break, guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering who I'm going to talk about here. West Virginia could be involved with a new basketball player, and I'm certainly excited about who that could be. So stick around. We'll talk about it next. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. We love talking about FanDuel on the show because they do it big. And when the NBA playoffs are in full swing, every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get 200 in bonus bets. And make every moment more today with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, guys, it is segment 2. And, of course, we have a due to crack on this one. It is Baja Blast, because if we get this player, it'll blast me into the sun. And let's talk about him. Let me get this off the screen. So let's share the screen with you guys really quick as we jump through to this. So where is he? Okay. This is the player. So Ryan Cornish, Dartmouth men's basketball player, just given his eligibility back yesterday, is available in the portal. And I reached out, was able to find out if West Virginia's been in contact. They have. So here's a player that West Virginia is interested in. Now, I don't know, how likely this is all to happen yet, but what I figured I would do, since we don't have a lot to talk about today, is I'll break Ryan down and give you guys a lot about his game, tell you just what to look for concerning him. He is a very good player, somebody I definitely consider to be he would come in and probably be our starting point, I think, or at least have a chance to be with Jasper. Maybe he comes off the bench. Let me give you the stats on the kid because I think that will explain a lot. So Dartmouth, obviously not an elite program or anything like that, but if you want to talk about what he does from a stats perspective and everything, man, it's pretty dang good. So, let me get to it. Let's see. Where do I have all his stats at here? Okay. Um, Looks like I must have hold on, let me get this back here. Let me find the thing. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I must have misplaced my file here that I had. There they are. Okay. I was thinking, what the heck, man? I know I had a bunch of stats on the kid. Okay. So his career stats are a little bit different than last year's stats, but we'll go career first. Career average is 11.9 points per game. He averages right around 4 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game. Field goal percentage is right around 40%, 32% from three, but that went up last year, 73.6% free throw percentage, and effective field goal percentage of 47.7, which does adjust for the value of 3-point shots. Last year, though, he really had a hell of a year. 17.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, 41% field goal percentage, 38 from three, 74% from the line, an effective field goal percentage of almost 50, and only 29 minutes per game. That's really good. You want to talk about an offensive rating of 96.7, which measures a player's offensive efficiency per 100 possessions. 96.7 is it's above average for a high use player. His usage rate was 31.9, which that means is a percentage of team plays the players involved in while on the floor. 31.9 is pretty high. So he was the focal point of their offense. Assist rate 24. Guys, it's very strong. 24% assist rate is very strong. Some would say it's crawling into the very good to elite category. So if you want to talk about where he scores on the floor, at the rim, 49%, which is a lot. 37% of his field goal for attempts are at the rim. Left elbow, 37. Left above break three is 35. Right above break three, 32. He's a primary ball handler in a lot of these situations where he scored. He was really good in transition. Catch and shoot is 65%, which is elite off the ball play, guys. 94th percentile in the country. Catch and shoot, man, that's so good. He made 8 threes deeper than 25%, 25 feet. To give you somebody to compare that to, I think Tucker had 13, 14, something like that. So these are those logo type shots that you see people shoot. So what would a player like this do on a squad like with the two shooters we already have? It could get scary. 24% assist rate, like we said, that's insane. Really, really good there. Off the dribble shooting is where he needs to improve. But if you look at his notable performances, 24 and 25, he scored in double digits all in one game. 31 points against Princeton in a duel with Xavier Lee, who was maybe the number one player in the entire transfer portal. I think he went. I don't know where he went. Did he go to Duke? He had 28 points in the losses to Cornell and Yale. He had 25 points in an 83-84 win over Brown. He had 23 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks in an 84-54 win over Vermont. He had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals in a 69-65 win over New Hampshire. He had 18 points in a 78-58 win over Brown. So he was an Ivy League first-team player. Guys, he is a very good rebounder. He does it all. He fills up the stat sheet. I have this a very highly rated pickup for us. As a matter of fact, he could be the sneakiest. You could possibly slot him in right there with Honor Huff as equal pickup. Like, I really love this kid. And I'm going to show you guys some highlights on him. So we got the hot piss meter for him. And you guys know I love to do that. And for those of you that don't know, the hot piss meter has been unveiled over the last 6 months due to Rich Rod and everything he basically means to the program. And what people said about him. Hey, when it comes to Rich Rod, he still pisses hot. He's not too old to coach this game. So that's kind of what that's all about. But so let's get there on what I mean by that. So like we said, hot piss meter just measures, it's like a transfer portal impact meter. Shooting is a 9.2 out of 10. He's a proven 3-level scorer, 38.7 3-point percentage, but man, that elite 65% effective field goal percentage and the 94th percentile off the ball is insane. That's like Steph Curry level if he were to come back to college almost. Not quite that good, but like 65% off the ball is mind-blowing. And he was the focal point of their defenses and their offense. His athleticism is very good. I forgot to mention he's 6'4", guys. He's 170 pounds, so he's good size for a guard. He does lack elite burst and explosiveness. Like he's not like Eric Stevenson, like who is for a white dude could really move, right? Could really explode to the rim, could dunk with two hands very easily. But this kid's a much better shooter than Stevenson was in a lot of ways. So, but man, he's able to score at the rim and he's very crafty with it. Kind of similar to Eaglestaff in that he uses really good ball handling skills and a bunch of hesitations and hesitation moves. And he just gets to the rim. Some guys are good basketball players. Athleticism doesn't always equal good basketball player, just like it doesn't always equal bad basketball player either, right? If you're not. So, his defense is good too. I got him at an 8.8 on defense. He's 6'4". He can guard 1 through 3, definitely 1 and 2 very well. He had 5 steals in a game versus New Hampshire. He's several games with like 2 and 3 steals. He's so smart. He's in the Ivy League, and he can guard multiple positions, which would fit what Hodge does in I think they do a switchable defensive system. Well, I wouldn't say he's a lockdown defender, but his length and effort make him a very plus defender on that end of the field. Could grow and even more into that under a guy like Ross Hodge. Playmaking ability is 9 out of 10. And I know you guys are probably laughing at me, some of you, but a 24% assist rate, just Google it. Is 24% assist rate good? And he averaged 3.2 assists per game, which highlight his ability to create for others. He's very efficient in pick and rolls. And he's right there in the 80th percentile, making him a very reliable ball handler. He had 2.9 turnovers per game, but he was a 31.9% usage rate. So that's not bad considering the usage rate. Now, typically that's bad, but he's not going to be at 31.9 at West Virginia. So it's not going to matter, so leadership is another one. I went and looked into some of the things on him, watched some interviews. I've got his leadership all the way up at 9.5 out of 10. He turned into such a leader for them last year, and he's a fifth-year senior, all Ivy League first-team selection. He was the centerpiece of a Dartmouth offense that was very, very good at times. He delivered in so many clutch moments. 31 against Princeton, which had maybe the best player in the country, definitely in the Ivy League. 28 against Yale. He can handle pressure. You would be bringing in a player that has done literally everything you can ask a player to do, which is why I've got his hot piss meter a 44 out of 50. It reflects his really high impact potential, and as it would be a late offseason addition, but what a hell of an addition it could be. And I don't mean to get everybody excited on the potential of it because I don't know where it's going to go. I know West Virginia's interested and I know there's been contact. Outside of that, I don't know what's going to happen. Not predicting he comes to West Virginia. I'm not predicting that he's, even leaning towards West Virginia, but there's interest. And at this point in the game, when we need players, that means a lot to me. So we'll consider it. We'll keep the watch on it. And I'm going to show you guys some highlights now of Ryan Cornish, who is a good player. So let's go over here to stop screen, share screen. Let's get there, baby. I believe that's it right there. Yeah. So these are Ryan Cornish highlights on YouTube. We'll watch them here. I do have to. Well, it went away, didn't it? Sorry about that. So sometimes whenever it changes screens like that, it'll kick you out. So, all right, let's try it again. Turn off the volume so we don't get hit with music violation on here. But this is Ryan Cornish, guys, and get ready to be pretty amazed because the kid can play, man. I think, and I'm curious to know how some of you guys are going to feel about it. So here he is. This is what I was talking about on the. Remember, I talked about him not having an elite explosion or burst or anything like that. This is a great example, but he's such a good shooter and passer that he has players guessing quite a bit. And yeah, that's what he looks like. He's a redheaded kid. So watch the little jab step in the triple threat position just to get somebody off balance, and he goes left very well. You see him score with his left a lot. So, look at that. He's using that pivot foot, right? Gets the contact and one. There he is again. See how he uses. So this is what you call a very high IQ basketball player, right? You see him come off the screen here. And look, he's got two guys on him, but he uses some start and stop, slowing down. He actually runs these two guys into each other. But instead of just sprinting to the lane and scoring, watch him slow down and let the contact hit him in the back. That's what like Javon Small did. He was very good at that too. Very smart. And with the left hand again at the rim. Here he is again. And he's got an absolutely gorgeous jump shot. Nothing wrong with it at all. Actually, it's so great. Here he is left. Look at that play. What a play that was. Here he is again. I mean, he loves going left. Loves it. So good with his left, which makes him dynamite. Here he is. That's way out there. Nice shot. There. Oh, my God. See, that's what I'm talking about. Not an explosive player, but look at the little shifty shift he's got to him here. But boom. And it's not elite explosion or anything, but he's so good at the rim. And look at the little cross contact the left again. He loves that left hand. But I mean, he's got a right hand as the fact you can go both ways as not an elite athlete. I'm not saying he's not a good athlete. He's a good athlete. Just not elite. And guys like that in the Big 12, you've got to be able to use different things to be good, right? And he does it. I mean, look at this one. See, I mean, there's a dunk. So it's not like he can't do anything as far as athleticism goes. Maybe I'm bringing it up a little too much, but he just knows how to play ball. Here he is again, scoring over two guys. And the Ivy League plays good basketball. Princeton was really good last year. They've been pretty good a lot of years. There he is. Some of this is that's him in the pick and pop situations or off the ball situations. He is dynamite with it, man. And there he is on the inside out three. That's almost always going to go in. There he is. There he is catch and shoot, which he was 65%. Just insane. Look at the rebound. Did you see the rebound? Remember he had what do you have? 10 rebounds in a game, 7 rebounds in a game, 5 rebounds in a game. And look at why. Remember Mike Gansey for West Virginia? He was always such a really good rebounder. But good rebounders do things. Oh, that was a pass. Was that a pass? Maybe that was a pass. Couldn't really tell there. It kind of happened too fast after it cut. But yeah, I mean, if you go look at his stats, one of the things he does so well is rebound it. So, and see the crafty moves, man. He just knows how to get he's what the kids will say. He's a bucket. He just knows how to get a bucket. And look at the passing. And this is where it shows some of this passing that we were talking about. Just very good. There's one here in a second where I don't know how he slips it through there, but it is quick how quickly he got that pass through. He always leads the guy in the right spot too. You notice that a lot. And I can just imagine, can you imagine for a second? Pretend like that's Brennan Lorient setting his pick here. Imagine Brennan Lorient does this right here, R4. Oops. So if that's Brennan Lorient, he's going to bounce his chin off the rim, not his head. He's going to bounce his chin off the rim right here. Can you imagine Lorient going to the rim like that, off a screen, off a guy that can shoot it so well? And that's not even considering Honor Huff. That's not even considering, obviously, Trayson Eaglestaff or even Chance Moore. There's the pass. Yeah, this is the one. This is a really good pass here. Nicely done. Here is the threes, and it says it here too. 8 threes made deeper than 25 feet. You see how far out that is. In rhythm. Look at the form, man. Such beautiful form. Love to see that. Guys, I hate getting us excited over any player, especially one like this who's probably going to be sought very highly. But, I mean, it's so late in the game. Surely to God, there can't be that many teams coming after this kid. I mean, maybe there are, but West Virginia at some point, you just can't let another player like this get by you. You got to figure it out, man, because this kid here can fill a point guard role for you. Is he to the same caliber of, Javon Small or anything like that? No, he probably never be. He's different. He's a scoring point guard that can assist it. He can, and his assists would probably go up. Maybe he's more of a shooting guard. Maybe he's more of a 2 guard. I'm not saying he would have to be a point guard, but he's a guard. He can play some point as he did in this offense. So maybe you leave Jasper at the point and you put this kid at the 2. I don't know. I don't know unless I guess the big question I would have is, if you're West Virginia, do you bring Jasper Floyd off the bench in order to get a kid like this and play him at the point? Or would a kid like this be okay in his last year coming off the bench at a place like West Virginia? Because where else would he play? Well, he can't play the 2, right? That's probably going to be Honor Huff. Can't play the 3. That's probably going to be Eaglestaff. You definitely can't play the 4. So that's the problem. I don't know. Personally, if you're asking me, I mean, I don't know if it would work or not, but I would consider him playing at the 1 and maybe letting Jasper come off the bench. But maybe that's not what they want to do. This kid plays good enough defense too. But, that's the only question I would have. Now, if you can get him and he's okay with coming off the bench, that's like the very best of all worlds. And then maybe he eventually ends up being one of your best 5, if Huff ends up not panning out or anything like that. Because that's another thing is this kid here could end up being a very good, I don't want to say replacement, but like, let's say Hunter Huff maybe doesn't translate to the Big 12 or something like that. This kid does a lot of what he does as a shooter, as a scorer. He's a bigger player, so your lineup gets a little bigger with him in there. But, at the end of the day, I don't know what the lineup we have as constructed would be, if he's going to crack the starting 5. That's the problem. Now, if you're telling me he's our point guard, then there you go. And I could definitely buy it. I'm not saying it would be the most viable option because he's not some explosive point guard, but he's got something to him, and I like him a lot. I really do. Would love to see West Virginia go after him. All right, guys, that's all I got. Not a whole lot to really talk about today, unfortunately. I just wanted to get this episode in. Obviously, we talked about the schedule some and all that, so I got to go in here and edit this video and knock out that first minute and a half, and hopefully not too many people see. They're like, what happened? He's not talking. So I'll see you guys later. If anything else comes out today, we'll do another episode. I might just do an episode here in a little bit about West Virginia's a couple more West Virginia dogs to look out for or something like that. It's getting tough, like I would love to see a press conference from Rich Rod or something come out here because We got baseball and not a whole lot else right now. That's for sure. So, all right, guys, thanks for coming in. I will see you guys here later. Until then, I'm out. See you later.